The Morgan Thomas Show. Brought to you by Black's Tire Inc.
Here we go, another episode of The Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas, and as joining me as always is my good friend and co-host, Big Al, Alan Adams. Welcome to the show, Big Al.
And thanks for having me as always. It's a great weekend. A lot of Tiger stuff going on. Got a lot of stuff with the family going on this weekend. So good weekend as always, but it's good to get back here on Monday to talk some Tigers.
Yeah, it's good for me to get back. As you know, last week I was out. Alan was all by his lonesome. He ran a solo show by himself. And, I was the producer in the background. So if you were part of the show last week, I hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of views. Alan likes to tell me that we had some of our best views of the entire year while I was out. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I like to say that it's because of who I am as a producer and how well I am at being a producer. It has nothing to do with that you are the solo host, Al.
No, of course not. Why? That would be crazy, right?
But again, thank you so much for joining the show last week while I was out. And this week, you can tell the laryngitis is gone. I still am a little hoarse, so I'm trying to fight through it. I've got some nice little lozenges here or cough drops, whatever you want to talk about there for me to get through the week or get through the show at least. Hopefully I won't need them because I know they're probably pretty annoying to listen to on a podcast, somebody chewing on a cough drop there. But again, if you're watching or listening over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, The Roar, or any of our podcast stations or places that hold our podcast, we appreciate you joining in. And we're going to be talking about the Clemson Tigers as we always do every week, Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We talk about an hour, Alan and I, about all things that's going on in Clemson Tiger Nation and at Clemson Athletics. So that means football, basketball, baseball, softball, whatever you want to talk about, but mainly those sports. Get in on the comments line if you have anything you would like to ask us. We love and are open to any of your comments or questions. And if you want to get in on the show, we have a Charleston Sports Pub hotline where you can call in. That's 864-772-6674. We'll put the number up throughout the show so you can call in. Again, Charleston Sports Pub hotline. You can actually call in just like the radio and talk to us during the live show about anything you want to talk about, preferably Clemson Athletics related. But we have that. Before we get into anything, Al, I wanted to tell our hosts, our viewers about our primary show sponsor. That's Black's Tire Inc., located in Westminster, South Carolina, family-owned and operated since 1971. If you need new tires, brakes, alignments, tire repair, or just looking for a friendly professional to help answer your questions, check out Black's Tire Inc., located 1415 East Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Give them a call, 864-647-9292. And let them know that the Morgan Thomas Show, Morgan and Big Al sent you there. We have been there ourselves. We wouldn't direct you to a place that we haven't gone ourselves. So go check them out. But again, glad to be back. Thank you so much for joining everybody on YouTube. I'm checking in right now. If you got any questions, comments, got Carson in saying, good to have you, good to have me back. I appreciate it. Good to have me back as well. I don't see any comments over on Facebook yet, but like I said, get in the comments. If you're feeling extra special, get in on the hotline. But Al, this weekend, going back to you, I just want to let everybody know. You may want to tell people who won. So this weekend we had kind of a competition, and I want you to kind of tell the fans how that went.
Oh my gosh. Oh, are you referring to the gymnastics competition there?
I'm referring to the first annual Olympic competition. Keep in mind, I'm a two-time ACL repair E.
That's true, and that's a good point. I think the problem with this exercise is it had nothing to do with leg strength. It was all upper body. So yeah, my girls just turned 5 the other day on Saturday. So we had a little birthday party for them at the gymnastics arena there in Anderson, and Morgan and I tried to do the old climb the rope deal over the foam pit that you used to do in gym class back when. I don't know if they did that in middle school or high school or when they did that. I actually never did it. I think it was a little bit before our time. But let's just say Morgan, he struggled a little bit. He did get a solid 6 inches up that rope. I'm pretty sure I saw that. It was pretty good, but not his best effort, as I was just, kind of climbing right up the thing. But it's all right. We still love our host. It's not really his strength; it's his good looks that we like him for.
Yeah, and that beautiful, sexy voice, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
it's really, I mean, I'm not going to win the show's strongest man anytime soon. If you've seen Al on any of our shows, you know he has a massive, massive arms and massive chest there. So he's going to beat me in an upper body competition. But I'd like to see him in a chess game. He'd probably beat me in a chess match as well. But there's some game out there that I think I could beat you at. Maybe something on the PlayStation. That's what I'm keeping my hopes on for. Got to beat you in the video games. But yeah, again, thank you so much for joining in. We're having a great time here. We're going to get ready to talk about all things Clemson Tigers. And by the way, happy birthday to Avery and Lakin. And then my daughter as well, Annabeth, turned 5 a couple of weeks ago. And you guys were all sick for that. But thankfully, we got together for this and enjoyed it and swapped presents, so it was fun. We enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting us to the birthday party. But again, happy birthday to all our girls born so close together. It's been pretty cool. It's been a pretty cool journey. But another kind of let's just transition into Clemson sports. And Alan and I were talking about some things that kind of, I guess, highlights of the week or so. And I met a guy named Ross Taylor. He's the sports information guy for the football team now. He took over Tim Baray's job, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to put up a picture here real quick, but he has like, let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I can get it up. I'm trying to get it up here, but he has, bear with me as I get it up. It's coming. Here we go.
I just want you to know in the meantime that Stephanie is she's gonna post the video. By the way,
okay,
about our little competition.
Stephanie, please post. All right, so if you give it a second here, if you have patience with us, I know it's not easy to get patience with us here, but Ross Taylor, he posted a picture today and said can't come through on an unofficial visit without getting this portrait, and this is Coach Mark Richt. Now he's not a coach anymore, Al. He is an analyst for the ACC network. But he is on a spring tour of every ACC team just to get to know them a little better, is what he said. And I think that's a great idea. I mean, if I was an analyst for ESPN, I would do the same thing. I think even though we're not analysts for ESPN, we probably should do the same thing. But he's touring every campus, and he started, obviously, his first start was at none other than Tiger Town. And here he is, a picture of him behind the Tiger Paw with some Clemson gear, courtesy of Mr. Taylor there. I thought that was interesting. What do you think about that, Al? A former, Georgia, that Stephanie would know him as a Georgia coach who is now wearing the paw, at least for one day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm all good with that. I mean, honestly, anybody that, kind of is reborn, so to speak, and is able to wear the paw or stand by the paw or whatever, I'm all good with it. Mark Richt was always a good guy. I think everybody knows that. Even Clemson fans, that hate Georgia like myself. No offense, Stephanie. That they're willing to admit that Mark Richt was a pretty good guy. So I always enjoyed him. I actually like him on the ACC network too. So I'm all for the Paul and Mark Richt. Good combo.
I thought that was something fun. Like I said, I think it's something that is a good idea for if you're an analyst to definitely take advantage of your opportunities to go visit the other teams. And I mean, Alan, have you ever toured anything at Clemson? I mean, like the stadium or the operations facility or anything?
I have not. I have not been so lucky. You haven't brought me yet.
Oh man. Well, I took Audrey for something that her sister actually set us up with, and we only got to see the first floor of the operations facility, and it was pretty nice. Now Al, you take that back. You and I have been to the indoor practice facility.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, at the very at the communal room of the indoor practice facility. So I haven't seen any behind the scenes stuff, I guess is what I was going for.
Oh well, yeah. There's nothing really to the practice facility. I mean, it's great. It's artificial turf and some bathrooms. That's about it. There's nothing really there. They're just there to play football on that field. There's nothing cool like at the Allen Reeves football complex, But yeah, so I thought that was an interesting post. But anyways, thank you again for tuning in over on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you're at. We're going to get into our first topic of the night, which is Clemson had a big-time junior day this Saturday, something that kind of snuck up on me. I actually am a guy who I try to keep up with this stuff, Al, and all of a sudden it's Sunday, and I'm seeing all these posts from these guys from this junior day. And now keep in mind, these players are from the 2021 and 2022 class. So, not going to be this year. They're going to be freshmen next year. And then some of these guys are not going to be freshmen until 2022. So they're still, some of them are still waiting to play their senior year of high school. Some of them are still waiting to play their junior year of high school. Now, majority of them were juniors going into their senior year, so we can talk about them. We have a lot of video on them. We're going to kind of go through them, skim over them that came. But the rest of them were there was a couple of them that were sophomores right now that are going to be juniors in high school. And let me just give you the names real quick, okay? That we have right now. So Deshaun Rucker from Tallahassee, Florida. 5'11", 170-pound safety. Will Fowler, 6 foot, 175-pound kicker from Spartanburg. Nolan Rucci, 6'8", 266-pound offensive tackle. He's a 5-star guy, Al, from 2021 class. Dakota Mitchell, another safety there, 5'11", 170 from Winter Park, Florida. Jordan Hancock from Swanee, Georgia, 6 foot, 170-pound, 4-star cornerback. Barrett Carter, 4-star outside linebacker from Swanee, Georgia. Troy Stellato from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 6 foot, 172-pound guy. And then Ryan Barnes from Maryland, 6'2", 175-pound cornerback. Another 6'2" cornerback there. Hey, I know Clemson likes those taller outside guys. And then I got down a couple guys from the 2022 class. DJ Dudley from Alabama, 6'2", 195 outside linebacker. Keep in mind, this guy's a sophomore right now going into his junior year. So height and weight is going to change probably by the time that he has a chance to actually commit to Clemson. And then Jalen Walker, 6'3", 185 outside linebacker. Both those guys aren't ranked yet because, there's not a lot of film on either one of them. But right. I wanted to ask you, Al, did you have a chance to take a look at any of them? Any of them stick out? I know one for sure that stuck out to me, but I wanted to ask you first.
Look, the ones I actually looked at are Nolan Rucci, Troy Stellato, and Jordan Hancock. Actually, the cornerback. I guess you mentioned him. I didn't hear you mention him, but I was trying to look over here at the comments as well. So Nolan Rucci, obviously he's what you want. He's your prototypical left tackle type guy. 6'8". Goodness gracious alive! And you said I think you had him at 265. I think somewhere I looked, he was like around 285 or something like that, which would be better. Obviously, you want him to have a little bulk there. Both of his parents went to Penn State, so there's obviously a big time pull there. I guess they would be considered the leader in the clubhouse. If your parents not only both went to school there, I think maybe even both of them played some kind of sport there. Obviously, the dad played football, played in the NFL as well. They just a lot of built-in advantages there. A lot of pull to Penn State, and we kind of know how the recruiting thing goes with James Franklin. He's a good recruiter. However he does it, I don't know, but it's good stuff. We like their whiteout. We talk about Penn State a good bit. So hopefully that's something Clemson can kind of counteract. When he's getting this kind of attention from Dabo, I'm sure they pulled out all the stops this weekend with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he met with the president. The President Clements is kind of known for doing that kind of thing. Toward the academics, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure he kind of got the full spectrum. And look, this is the guy you want. He's got to be at the top of their board. I'm sure there's several others that they were kind of considering for that left tackle slot, such as, Marius Mims, Tommy Brockemeyer, and I think Tristan Lee's another tackle they're kind of looking after. I think Tommy Brockemeyer is kind of an afterthought now. I believe his brother and him are a package deal, and I'm not sure Clemson ever offered him. So they're kind of looking elsewhere, I believe. But, still kind of in the run for Tristan Lee and some other guys as well. So hopefully they can get their number one target, Nolan Rucci. That would be kind of the best case scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah, chat over on YouTube saying that they hope that Clemson is now in the lead or co-lead for Rucci. Obviously a big-time 5-star guy, 6'8", already, like I said, junior. But I look back, Al, at his unofficial visits, and he's gone to Penn State now since 2017. He's gone to Penn State 7 times. Yeah. On top of that, his dad went there, played in the NFL. I don't know. Can we really say that this guy is going to give Clemson a shot? I think Clemson has a shot with any player in the nation. Yeah. But then realistically, they don't really have a shot with any player in the nation because there are some players that are just going to go to schools that just don't make sense for them.
Sure.
We saw that this past season, really. We saw players where we were scratching our head. Why would you not go to the team that wants you, that's an elite team in the nation? Well, there's a lot of reasons there. Proximity to home, like Justin Flo. In Oregon, you don't want to travel all the way across the country if your heart's not in it. DJ, obviously, DJ and his family were both in on it, and they decided to do that from California here to Clemson. But not every player is that way. Same thing with, I would say, Julian Fleming, guy from last year, wide receiver, big-time guy that was playing around with Penn State, playing around with Ohio State, decided to sign with, I believe, Ohio State, and was also coming down to Clemson a lot. So you get those players, and I don't know if this guy is this way, but I kind of see a little bit of a trend there of, I mean, you're visiting a lot of these Big Ten teams, specifically Penn State. Maybe Clemson is just a blip. Hey, it'd be fun to go see Clemson. Hopefully that's not the case, but I'm always a little skeptical starting out, especially early on. We got a long time to go before Dabo Swinney keeps working on him. This is just still early in the process. Like I say, he's still got to play his senior year, but and then Chat's also saying Jordan Birch, the same type of situation there too. But I'm not saying Rucci is anything like that. I don't know much more about him other than I looked at a list of his unofficial visits, and it's littered with big, Penn State. So, for me, I hope he's not playing around. I hope he's serious with his interest in Clemson, because he would be a big time guy that would show up right about the same time and take over as these guys are moving on from this year. And pick up right where these guys have kind of moved on. So, it would be a good recycling of or reloading of the offensive line if he comes in there. Another guy you mentioned was Jordan Hancock. I'm noticing on the forums that there's a ton of people talking about Jordan, that he looks a lot like a McKenzie type, Alexander type, or an A.J. Terrell type, just a really strong coverage guy, a guy that's not afraid to play right up in your face. And I look at the film, and let me scroll down to it real quick. But I got physical outside cornerback, good footwork, looks like he has good hands. He's able to make a ton of interceptions on his film. Now go figure, when you look at film, now keep this in mind. When you look at film, they're going to only show you the best stuff.
The good stuff, man.
Yeah, So keep that in mind. But he looks like he has the ability to transition off of his routes and adjust right on time, and he pays really close attention to the receiver, and he likes to play close. So I'm excited for that guy. It does seem like I'm seeing some hints out there, 24/7 rumblings, that Hancock is leaning towards Clemson. He is more of a Clemson lean than anybody else.
Yeah, I really like what I saw from his film today. He has pretty good length. Like you said, he's a little bit on the skinny side, but a lot of cornerbacks are in high school. He gets his hips around really good, stays with the wide receivers. He has elite ball skills. I mean, if you saw his film, he's making all kind of catches that a receiver would make. And maybe he plays receiver for his high school. I didn't see that mentioned anywhere in all of his film as corner, but he could definitely play at wide receiver at the high school level. He plays bigger than he is, like you mentioned. He's not afraid of contact. He'll kind of go up and hit you. He keeps his eyes on the wide receiver and the QB, which is what I like. I always like to watch where the QB is going to go. You can jump those routes. You can kind of undercut the fly routes and that kind of thing. It's something I like to do as well. So it's one of the things that I really look for in a cornerback. I saw that a lot in Malcolm Green, which is one of the reasons I was so high on him. When I was kind of trying to decide who he, kind of best compared to, I looked at several players. I looked at A.J. Terrell, looked at Mackenzie Alexander, Trayvon Mullen, Adrian Baker. Those are the four I started with. Some of the recent names. Adrian Baker's a little bit more, several years ago. But I honestly thought A.J. Terrell was the best comp of the recent guys. Kind of looked a lot the same to me. A.J. Terrell's got a little bit of length on him, of course. But I'll tell you this, a little blast from the past. One of the guys I think is the best comparison that I saw is he's a little bit slower, but I think he's a little bit slower version of Martin Jenkins from back in the day.
Okay.
That is a little bit of a flashback. I like the way they play. They play very similar. They have their eyes on the quarterback, and they're not afraid to hit. I think he's got better ball skills than Martin Jenkins did as well. So, it's not like he's just a slower version, so a worse version. He makes up for it in his ball skills, what he lacks in Martin's elite speed. So I think that's a pretty good comparison.
I like that, and let me give a pause real quick because we got a caller on the line. I know he's been on the line for a few minutes. I actually see him over on Twitter saying he's getting ready to get on the line. I'll get you on the line in a few minutes. Just bear with us. We're going to get you on the line. We're going to finish up this Junior Day talk. We got one player to go over, and then I'll bring you on the line, all right? So just hang tight. We'll bring you on in a second. But again, I like that comparison to Jennings. I mean, I think he was a great player for Clemson. He didn't play as much as I think we had anticipated him playing. He was kind of a lifetime backup, but he had some great hits, and he was the inventor of the "We Too Deep." But I'm just joking. I'm just joking there. But on the other end, I mean, he was a really good athlete. And I would love to see what Hancock can do if he ends up committing to Clemson. Last guy I wanted to talk about, and I think you mentioned him too, was Stellato. Troy Stellato, big-time fast slot receiver. Looks like he loves to go across the middle, catch the ball in stride, run as fast as he can to the sideline, and just go straight up the field. And he is super fast. When I was watching him, he didn't really play outside that much. He played the slot almost exclusively in his high school footage that I saw. But I started seeing a little bit of hints of maybe an Amari Rogers, maybe even Hunter Renfrow. But it does seem like he's a little bit more. I wouldn't say elusive, but maybe he might have faster speed off the ball or off the ball speed than a Hunter Renfrow does. I don't know if he's as good of a catcher or clutch player as Renfrow, but he does look like a gazelle running across the field.
Yeah, he definitely looks better coming off the bus than Hunter Renfrow does. There's no doubt about that. I think he's an elite receiver and can really do some damage. I think he's going to be the next 13 if he ends up committing to Clemson. He's going to kind of be that guy we count on in the slot. What I kind of saw when I was looking at his film, a lot like you said, he likes to go over the middle a lot. I think the only problem with that is, Clemson's got to find the middle of the field first before before that's any good. So hopefully they're able to, use that a little more this year and kind of show them what they're able to do. I think he's going to need to refine his route running a little bit. It looked to me like he's mostly straight line, whether it's a straight slant or whether it's, a fly, whatever it may be. It doesn't look like he's having to get separation with a lot of cuts. He just kind of goes off the ball and he's wide open. It's kind of what most of his film looked like to me. But yeah, he's got good hands, good explosiveness, nice speed. I think he's going to be a real good one.
Yeah, I like him as well. Like I said, I think it'd be a great pickup for Clemson. I don't know where he's leaning right now, but those are three guys that we saw or that were on the list from this week. I mean, they had a ton of people coming in this week. You can check them out over on my article on Clemson Sports Illustrated. That's allclemson.com. I got a list of the guys that came in. I believe I need to update it with one. There was one guy that came in a little bit later on. I wanted to wait to add names, Al, till they actually posted on Twitter that they came. I didn't want to kind of like out them without them publicly saying that they did it. And there was a lot of guys that like immediately after they left campus, they posted on Twitter like Saturday night, Sunday morning. And so I was like scrounging to get the article together. But then there were some guys that seemed to wait till this afternoon. And I don't know. Maybe they just not as into social media, and maybe that's a good thing. But so I'm gonna keep it updated as much as I can. But go check that out over on allclemson.com, or you can see it over on our Facebook page. A link to the article there. That's Morgan Thomas Show over on Facebook. But let's get over to our caller, Al. And before we get to the caller, let me tell you about our second sponsor. And I want to let you know that we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports for Success. As you can see, Alan and I are wearing exclusive clothing from Tiger Sports Shop. That's Tiger Sports in downtown Clemson, Tiger Sports on Tiger Boulevard. You can go check them out. Go talk to Sean or Julie. Let them know that Morgan and Alan sent you there. We get all of our Clemson stuff from there, and we only wear Tiger Sports Shop stuff on this show. You can check it out. I have an exclusive collection of like a lavender striped polo shirt right now that I'm wearing, and like you said, go check them out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm wearing a Cutter and Buck Dry Tech polo. This one's got a lot of room to breathe, a lot of stretchy material in here, so it's a great shirt. It allows you to be a little bit flexible. Okay, it's a great golf shirt, I would say. All their stuff is good. I think you ought to check out the Tiger Sports Shop brand that they're trying to push now. They have a ton of good brands. They have all the big boys, the Cutter and Bucks and the Antiguas and the Panama Jacks and that kind of thing. But I think they have another a brand called Varsity Tailgate, which is a good brand they have there as well. But the Tiger Sports Shop brand is really cool. It's their own clothing line that they're kind of pushing out. It's the same quality as the big brands, more affordable price. We have such good sponsors. We appreciate Sean and Julie, allowing us to do this and wear their clothes and them to be our sponsors. So go give them a shout. All our sponsors are fantastic. And speaking of, I see Bill Lanham is with us today, obviously from Four Paws. Had an excellent excellent sandwich there today. I got to sit down and actually eat with Bill, so I really appreciate that time and him being able to talk with me today for lunch. I was all by myself, so it was nice to have some company today. So I appreciate that.
Oh man, Al, all by yourself. Well, we're not all
Yeah,
by
I know.
ourselves tonight, Al. I've got a caller in, Marcel from New York. He's giving us a call. Marcel, are you there?
Yes, good evening, Morgan, and thank you for following me on Twitter. I'm proud, as a matter of fact, to be part of the Clemson family.
Yeah, go Tigers. Well, thank you for joining in on the show. We'd love to talk about anything you want to talk about. You got Morgan and Alan here. We're all ears for you, sir.
And by the way, what is Alan's Twitter account, Mr. Thomas?
Well, Alan's got a Twitter account. It's at Clemson Allen, but it's a ghost account. He doesn't really use it. It's just there for fun. So if you want to,
I'm working on it.
Clemson Allen, huh? Let me spell that. In the meantime, I will love to have the preview for tomorrow's, or should I say Wednesday's, Clemson basketball. Number 8 in the country take on number 9 Miami in Greensboro. And by the way, before I say anything, do you know Greensboro is the home of the LFG building? Some of the amazing views of the iconic city in the heart of the South. It's not just Charlotte or even Asheville, but I'm talking about Winston-Salem. No Winston-Salem or High Point, but I'm here to talk about Greensboro and home of the ACC tournament every year.
Yeah, we're excited about it. I mean, I believe that Clemson has a great shot to beat Miami. They didn't beat them in the regular season. Unfortunately, it was kind of an end of December loss that a lot of people talk about. That is kind of a nasty blip on their schedule of a loss.
Oh my God!
But,
oh my God!
But they statistically, I'm seeing that they have about a 65% chance of winning the game and then going on into the next round, probably more than likely playing, I believe, Florida State.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what our number 8 Clemson basketball is going to be looking for another champion in the March Madness. So, number 8 Clemson take on number 9 Miami in Greensboro at the Coliseum there. 12 noon Eastern, Wednesday, right after Super Tuesday. And I believe Super Tuesday is tomorrow, right? I believe it is saying Biden and Sanders. I'm not talking about politics, but I'm here to talk about everything Clemson, all in one darn show. And believe it or not, I'm a caller of the year. Every morning with the Ben Maller Show, I do the New York sports correspondent in the morning jab on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I have the updates on Clemson athletics on Mondays in the Roar. And I have the Clemson Report Friday mornings in Charlotte. People know I'm a caller of the year.
Awesome. Well, we're honored to have you on the show tonight and talk a little bit about Clemson basketball. So what's your prediction for the game?
Well, what do you say, Mr. Morgan?
I said, what's your prediction for the game?
Well, my prediction for the game from Wednesday is going to be block, take a dunk, and give a Clemson Tigers a lead. That's all my point.
Hey, as long as you stick to the basics, that's what I'm talking about. Is just play defense, block, and dunk the ball. Get the high percentage shot there, Al, and put it in the basket.
Yeah, 3-pointers too to give Clemson a lead. No need to lose. We need to fight Miami and Florida State. We need to win.
Definitely. Al, what do you think? I mean, do you feel like that this team? I mean, I think this team lives and dies by the 3-pointer. What do you think?
Yeah, they definitely have so far this season. I think it's going to be interesting to see whether they're motivated to play in the ACC tournament. Obviously, their hopes of making the NCAA tournament are dead unless they run through and win the whole thing. It would be nice to see them kind of come out with some fire. Obviously, we were hoping that was going to happen against Virginia Tech and then against Georgia Tech, and we were let down, as we'll kind of get to at the end of the show. But they're going to have to show some fire. Hey, you can't win the whole thing unless you win game one, right? So hopefully they can get something done against the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, Marcel, we appreciate your call, man, and getting in and talking about the Miami Hurricanes versus the Clemson Tigers coming up this Wednesday. Like you said, at 12 p.m. Eastern Time in Greensboro, North Carolina. Clemson currently has a 65%
9 a.m.
chance
on
of
the
winning.
West Coast. Yeah, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Wednesday, ESPN on TV, the Clemson Tigers Radio Network, 105.5 The Roar. Listen in. All in.
Again, we appreciate that call. Thank you so much, Marcel, for getting in and talking about the Clemson Tigers basketball team. Hey, Al, we don't even have to talk about that in the third segment because we've already kind of covered it there. I told you about Clemson basketball, man. You know, I mean, a lot of people are frustrated about the game that just finished up. Georgia Tech ended the season kind of on a low note. Yeah. Again, they live and die by that three-pointer, and when they're not on, they are not on. And they're consistent. Yeah. You know, they if you look, when they're, I believe, low 30%, below 30% three-point shooting, it's going to be a bad time for them. They try to shoot out of it, but you can tell if they get into a game where they can't shoot out of it, it's going to be a long night for the Tigers.
Yeah, it was. I mean, especially in the last game against Georgia Tech, you know, it was a home game. They've been playing incredibly well at home. They beat some big names at home this year. And, you know, Dawes, Trapp, Newman, none of them could get going offensively. That's a big problem. Okay, it's one of those things we kind of mentioned before. You know, Amir Sims had a decent day. Mac actually had a decent amount of points, but he wasn't shooting all that great, to be honest with you. He shot a lot, so I think he had about 19 points or something like that. It took him a lot of shots to get there. He had the big shots at the end that he couldn't get to go down. Something I found kind of interesting is that Hemingway only played 5 minutes according to the stat sheet in that game, which is really odd to me. I mean, he's been your best shooter. He's your highest percentage shooter that I know of. You know, unless somebody has come in and made one basket and that's the only shot they've had all year. He's been pretty consistently over 50% shooting in the games. I saw he was 1 for 2, played 5 minutes and never saw him again. I think you're going to have a lot of people out there want to talk about his defense, maybe say he's a bad defender or something like that. Well, I don't really care how good a defender you are. If you can't make baskets, it doesn't really matter. So I definitely want somebody in there that can shoot the ball. And I'm just kind of confused as to why he wasn't in the game more. I thought they could have used that spark. But hey, look, let's fan the flames. Let's pretend out there that Clemson can get hot, win this whole thing. I mean, heck, they beat all the top teams anyway, so why not in Greensboro, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have beaten Florida State. You know, they've beaten Duke. They've beaten North Carolina. They've beaten Louisville. So they can definitely beat higher ranked teams.
Don't say North Carolina. North Carolina's terrible.
But and they've also had they're 3-3 against teams, the top 3 teams in the ACC. This is a stat from Quackenbush. 3-3 against the top 3 teams in the ACC. 3-3 against the bottom 3 teams in the ACC. That's the problem, Al, is that they're average against the best teams, and you think this team can do it. This team can go a lot farther than you think, and then they turn around and they're average against the worst teams, and that's where really the frustration comes in. People ask me, "What about Brownell?" Let's stop with the Brownell talk. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be coaching next year. They're going to be better next year. I know what you're going to tell me. They always say that he's going to be better next year. Well, we will see. But you're going to have a next year, and you're going to have a next year with that same coach. So just that it is what it is at this point. But again, I think that the Clemson basketball team has a good chance of winning the Miami game. And then I believe they still have a good chance to beat Florida State. Only problem is, Al, both games, if they do get a chance to play both, are not in Little John Coliseum. And we know that the Tigers this year don't like to play away from home. That's another one of their problems that they have. And so we'll see. But I'm going to be watching it noon Wednesday. Eastern time, by the way, like our caller said. Make sure we get that in there. Because we got callers all over. We got callers from New York City, man. New York. I mean, I guess maybe New York City. I say New York City, but New York's a big state. New York. We'll just say New York in general. But
there you go.
Thank you again, Marcel, for calling in. We love our callers here. We appreciate you getting in. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want to get in. We still have open phone lines. The Charleston Sports Pub hotline, 864-772-6674 if you want to get in. But talking about our second subject, Al, was spring practice. And I want to play a clip real quick of, I love our Tyler Davis. We got to play a little clip of Tyler Davis, right, hot from the presses from TigerNet's YouTube from after practice today. So this is hot off the presses.
It's spring for you. What's different this time around?
Just played a different role. You know, I came in, I was like a little baby coming in, but now kind of getting better. You know, it's doing better.
What have you seen out of the freshmen like Cape Hart and Brissy and Murphy?
Freakish. They've been athletic. You know, they coachable too. You know, getting ready for the playbook. You know, doing everything.
Jordan's over there saying he thinks the defensive line is going to be a strength this year. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Who are some of the players we need to watch out for?
You watch out for everybody. First group and second group.
As a freshman, man, you got to play in an ACC championship game, college football playoff. You went to the Fiesta Bowl national championship. What does all that mean? How does that help you?
It helped me, you know, just looking back on last season, look at what we accomplished as a team. You know, it was a great feeling, and just gonna help me try to get back to that feeling again.
What do you think is your strength as a defensive tackle, as a three technique? What do you feel like your strength is?
I think my strength is, you know, I'm naturally play with good pad level, and I could improve on that. And I have, that's it, basically, my leverage.
What have you seen out of Darnell now that he's kind of gaining weight and getting back to Darnell?
He looking good out there, you know. He get off the ball more, you know. Even though he got bigger, he getting off the ball more, and he playing physical. He looking real good out there.
Damani Capehart, kind of give me a quick scouting report on the freshman.
Big, very big. You know, strong, very strong. Take up 2 gaps, do everything. And he got a nice little bull rush.
Brian Brissy.
Quick, fast. You know, too fast for his size. Quick step. Yep.
What about Miles Murphy? I know he's an end, but
freakish. Big, strong, smart.
What about the offense?
And that was Tyler Davis, not a freshman anymore, Big Al. He is now a veteran on the team, and I love watching him and getting interviews from him. He's just a genuine guy. Got a great smile on him, and he's still got a baby face, man. He looks like a little kid up there, but he is way bigger than me. I will tell you that much. But I thought it was interesting because, one, I thought it would be interesting for our viewers because, one, it is hot off the press. I mean, this is an interview from earlier today, right after practice, typically around 5:45, 6 p.m., and I also wanted to talk about some of the things he said, which was a little bit of insight into those freshman defensive linemen that we're just salivating over this year and looking forward to see come the new season. But Brian Brissy, quote, he said, "Too fast for his size." And, when you see tape of him, Al, I agree with that. Another thing, Miles Murphy, a freak and very smart. Damonte Capehart, big, strong, fills up 2 gaps, and is a bull. When you listen to this guy talk about his teammates, I mean, what are some thoughts that you get in your head? This is, it just got me even more excited for the spring game coming up April 4th.
Yeah, look, the news on Miles Murphy is great to hear. I was still kind of bullish in a couple episodes ago, that I thought the stars were going to be Justin Foster and Xavier Thomas. And I still, as of right now, think that to be the case. Coming out of the spring anyways is kind of what we were talking about. But you love to hear this stuff when you got a guy that's got the skill set that Miles Murphy has, the speed he has, the explosiveness, and the way he uses his hands. That's exciting stuff. He's got great length, and he can be a completely dominant defensive end. And I'm really looking forward to what he can do, sooner rather than later. So that's good to hear. You haven't heard much about Brian Brissy as much as we've talked him up over the summer or over the off season. And this guy is going to be great. I have no doubts about it. Look, he's been partially injured. He had that basketball injury. And I think he's kind of getting back from that. He's playing full-time defensive tackle, which he wasn't used to in high school. We played a lot of end and whatnot too. So, he's going to have to get used to the defensive tackle position and kind of the nuances there and what to do. So you're going to hear a lot more about him soon, I have no doubt. But, yeah, it's really good to hear all this stuff and all the positive notes about these new guys.
Yeah, and some of the other guys that I wanted to talk about, they interviewed Braden Galloway. Some of these interviews are way too long for me to post up, but this was like a two-minute interview, so I wanted to kind of throw that up first. And I love watching Tyler Davis talk, but I would say that Braden Galloway and Amari Rogers were both available for the media today, and they both made comments about the slot position, and both said that they were going to be playing a lot in the slot position. Galloway, obviously, as you know, is a tight end who is going to, he said he's been kind of bouncing between the two, which I thought that was kind of interesting. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And then Amari Rogers said that's his primary position, but with it being his senior year, he wants to try to show off all his talents that he can. And he had another note that I saw earlier this week when I went to practice, not wearing a brace this year, which he said feels a lot better for him. He feels even quicker. I mean, when you look at some of the highlights of this guy, Rogers is quick and explosive with a brace on. I'm just looking forward to see what he can do without a brace.
Yeah, Amari Rogers is going to have a big time year this year. It's kind of his contract year, so to speak. He's going to do great things in the slot. I think that's going to kind of be where he stays for the most part. He's going to hopefully have to be more consistent, being your third down threat that Hunter Renfrow was when he was here. That's kind of his niche. That's kind of what we need him to do. But he's got a level of explosiveness to him. You've seen him make the big plays. He was good for about one a game. I'm thinking he's going to be a lot more involved in that this year, so I'm looking for big things from him as well. The whole Galloway thing in the slot, that's an interesting deal. I'm not so sure I'm buying that as to, any more than he's just kind of lining up there maybe in a two tight end set kind of deal when they want a bigger lineup on the field. We had DeAndre Overton, who was an oversized guy. You thought DeAndre Overton was oversized for the slot. Think about having Braden Galloway in the slot. I don't think that's really his niche there, unless, again, it's a special set for a special set of circumstances. But, hey, it's always cool to overanalyze everything you hear about practice.
Yeah, that's what I love about practice. It gives us more to talk about and
Right.
kind of dig into. I noticed also that Skalski came out and had a short interview, but he mentioned that, and I'm going to pull up the notes here, somebody just straight up asked him, who's going to play Sam this year? That's the big question mark, right? Who's going to take over at the strong side linebacker position for Isaiah Simmons or in place of Isaiah Simmons? And we both know Mike Jones Jr. is gonna have his first shots at it. But he mentioned that Trenton Simpson has been playing a lot there. It is a lot for a freshman to get used to, but he mentioned that Trenton Simpson, he even said, don't be surprised if you see Anthony Williams there, more like a Ryan Carter type guy. He feels that he's been playing that role as well as far as practice goes. And then he said he's seen some safeties in that position too. He didn't name specific safeties, but he said not to worry because Clemson has a lot of different choices to pick from.
Yeah, and I've been pretty bullish on Mike Jones for a while now and his potential. I think he's gonna be a big time player for us again. I saw him more of a Dorian O'Daniel type than a Isaiah Simmons type, but again, both solid choices. Okay, I think Tiger fans are going to take either one of those anytime. But yeah, you're going to see a lot of people give it a shot there. I think they mentioned Trenton Simpson, Jalen Phillips, Ray Thornton, I believe, another couple candidates that are going to be at that position. So look. I mean, you kind of give these guys a shot, see what they're made of. I mean, there's a lot of different body types that can play this position. Just to, how they play it depends on what Brent Venables can do with them. So, but either way, we have options. We have a lot of good players, good athletes. That's what you get from good recruiting.
And talking about good athletes, another thing on the list this week, is the Clemson's Pro Day. Is going to be this Thursday. Just talk about it real quick, Al. Isaiah Simmons is going to be there, I believe. You're going to have A.J. Terrell, T. Higgins, all the guys that are looking to really get drafted. But to be honest with you, I mean, guys like Isaiah Simmons, A.J. Terrell Kayvon Wallace already had such good NFL combines. Isaiah Simmons is now being projected to go to the New York Giants at 4th overall. And T. Higgins is one of those guys that's in the high 20s, 30s range in the first round. Also, A.J. Terrell is a guy who's been. I'm looking at some places are saying he could be a late first round guy as well. Do you think these guys, like the Wallaces, like the Simmons, even need to do anything at Pro Day? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think any of them needed to really do anything but T. Higgins, to be honest with you. I think Isaiah Simmons got nothing to prove. His on-field performance and his combine results speak for themselves. I think he's a no doubt first rounder, no doubt top 10 kind of pick. And I think that we're going to see that bear out when the draft comes. AJ Terrell, I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he could be a first round guy. I think he should be a first round guy, in my opinion. I thought he had a great season. I thought he had a great career here at Clemson. Look, people want to give him crap about the LSU game. That was not all AJ Terrell's fault. If you really know what you're watching when you're seeing a football game, he was in pretty good position on most of those plays, to be honest with you. A lot of that was not on A.J. Terrell. Just made him look bad because, he was the guy closest to the ball when the touchdowns were being caught. It's just kind of luck of the draw, unfortunately, for him. But, yeah, I think NFL teams are going to see past that and going to see what a good corner he is and what a good cover guy he is. So I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. Higgins is the only one. He didn't go to the combine. I think that did hurt his stock a little bit, but he still has a chance to be a first rounder. Again, he's got, all this tape from his college career. They're going to love his size. They're going to love his athleticism. He's going to be one that's going to go high up the draft boards for sure. I'd love to see him go to Green Bay. Green Bay is always, offensive. They're going to need weapons for Aaron Rodgers. I haven't seen any of the mock drafts predicting him to Green Bay, but I have seen some mock drafts saying Green Bay is going to take a receiver there. So why not T. Higgins, right?
And chat's talking about Muse. I think Muse did well. He obviously showed he had a great 40 time. I think he'd be a guy that does benefit from Pro Day. You want those scouts to be there to kind of see you in person, get another shot at you. He's a guy that I felt like did good at the combine, but then didn't really see him move up too much in some of the mock drafts. So I was a little confused with that, but we'll see what happens with him. Good luck to all the Clemson Tiger players that are going to be out there this Thursday. So be a lookout over on Twitter, Clemson football's Twitter and their Facebook page to make sure that you keep in touch with everything that goes on Thursday. I'll be looking forward to seeing what we can get from that as well. And I'll tell you, just to kind of chime in as well, talking about T. Higgins and Isaiah Simmons, we are planned right now to go to the Charleston Sports Pub this Saturday night from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to be there, and Isaiah Simmons and T. Higgins is going to be signing autographs. Go check out the Charleston Sports Pub Facebook page and their social media account on Instagram so you can get all the information so you can get tickets. I believe it is a ticketed event for you to get in and get your picture with them, get a signature from them, and go check those guys out before they become big-time NFL stars. We already know they're stars in our eyes, but before they become big pro NFL players, go get your picture with them. We're going to be there so you can see us live and in person. We're going to do a 3-hour show. We're going to do a full show from 6 to 9. We're going to have special guests there, and it's going to be a good time. So we're going to play some highlight films from both players. Like I said, going to have some analytics from some NFL draft guys that I've got from across the country that have been on the show in the previous episodes last year. So I think we're going to have a good time. Like I said, if you want to come in and join us at the Charleston Sports Pub, that's downtown Clemson, where the old Wild Wings used to be, but downtown Clemson, Charleston Sports Pub, go check them out. They have locations all around the state, really. The lower part of the state, that's where they get the Charleston Sports Pub from, that name. But they also have one in Clemson and one in downtown Greenville. So go check them out. We will be there. But, Alan, before we finish up the show.
First of all, correction before you get going. It's downtown Greenville. We will be at the downtown Greenville location, not the downtown Clemson location, correct?
Yeah. I mean, they have locations in downtown Clemson and downtown Greenville.
Yeah,
but they'll be in downtown Greenville for sure. Yeah.
We will be at the downtown Greenville location, not Clemson. So I just wanted to make sure that the fans got that right. So if they wanted to come join us, please don't go to Clemson because we will not be there. Go to the downtown Greenville location.
You can go there and eat, but you can't
That's
go
right.
there and
But
see
if you
it.
want to come see us, you got to be in Greenville. Okay,
And
that's what you were talking about, the old Wild Wings building. It's the one in Greenville.
Right, yeah, that's where we're talking about, downtown Greenville. Go check it out. We'll be there Saturday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. But Al, before we get into our last segment of the show, tell us about our third segment show sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, our segment 3 sponsor is Heating Cooling Services, Inc. They are family-owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding area since 1980. Heating Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and anything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, you're going to want to give Heating Cooling Services, Inc. a call. You want to get in touch with Mark or Jason Trammell. Their number is 864-224-7655. Again, that number is 864-224-7655. I've used them. They fixed my air conditioning. It's my air conditioning has been giving me problems since I've gotten to this house. They have fixed it. I haven't had any problems yet, again, so we'll hopefully knock on wood for that. They're good people. I like to do work with good people. And again, make sure that you tell them Alan and Morgan sent you.
And big shout out to John Sarian. We got a new subscriber, and he got in. He was the one asking the question about Muse. He also asked a question about Cornell Powell. He said, is Dabo Swinney talking about Cornell Powell right now? I haven't heard any or seen any interviews from him. I haven't seen Dabo Swinney's interview from tonight. And we haven't done any articles recently about Cornell Powell. I know we talked about him a couple of weeks ago, Al, about, he's going to be fighting over that number 2 spot, between him and Ngata and possibly Ladson. A lot of people are thinking that Ladson might even come on strong. I know that Amari Rogers said that when he's really good friends with Ladson and he's just soaking everything up, but he also is good friends with Ngata as well, and he thinks, man, those guys are just, interchangeable. They're both just really good. I'm hearing some words that Ladson's kind of like a little bit of a Martavis Bryant type player. It's kind of some hints I'm seeing around there. But Powell is one of those guys who was mentioned last year as a slot type player. Maybe he goes into that slot position, that 5 slot again, or that, there. But, for me, I don't see him. I see him being a solid number 2 guy, or a second string guy rather, not a number 2 guy, but a second string guy there on the wide receiver core, because at least first come right out the gate in spring practice, day 1, first team was Ross on the left, Ngata on the right, and Rogers in the slot. That was first team when I was there.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think his kind of home position is the slot. That's kind of the body type that he fills out with the best. And look, he had a great spring game last year. We were really high on him after the spring game because he was making some impressive plays. He was running incredibly hard, making some good catches. So we really thought he was going to have a bigger impact that, we've kind of been waiting on since he got here. He was a big time player when he came in. I can't remember if he was a 4 or 5 star. I know it was close, a borderline 5 star if he wasn't. So he was a great player. A lot of people thought a lot of him. And we just hadn't quite seen that yet at Clemson. I think he's going to kind of be in that slot role. Swinney, I believe I read somewhere, I don't remember which practice it was, maybe it was a few ago, but Dabo was talking him up, as Dabo tends to do for several players. He was talking up Cornell Powell. So hopefully we'll get to see a little more of him this year. Kind of he stays committed, and he's able to make some of those breakout plays we saw last year in the spring game.
Yeah, again, like I said, we want to see him succeed, but let's get into our third segment topics, and that's really going to be a brief overview of the weekend for baseball, softball. And we've already talked about basketball, so we don't even have to talk about that. So mainly the 2 ball teams, baseball and softball. Al, I know that the baseball team, is this the 3rd team that they've swept?
Yeah. Yeah, I think is the 3rd team they've swept? Let's see, they've played Stony Brook, they've played Liberty, and they've played Boston College. Did they sweep all 3, or did they win 2 out of 3 against?
I believe they. I thought I saw some graphic.
It's probably their 3 sweeps. That's right. They lost 1. They played South Carolina. Hello, duh. We just did a show on it last week, right? So they lost 1 to South Carolina. They lost to College of Charleston, and I think they lost 1 more midweek, maybe in there somewhere. I don't remember, but look, it was a good weekend.
They got crushed by Charleston, right? That was
it was a brutal game. College of Charleston was a terrible midweek loss. I think we lost 11-2. Couldn't get anything going with the bats, and the pitching, the midweek pitching has been struggling for sure. But look, you make up for it with a sweep of Boston College. Boston College is a really bad pitching team, but they're a great hitting team. And our pitchers were able to do a pretty good job. Weatherly was good as usual. He's been doing a really solid job this year. We're going to need him to keep doing that, keep his walks down, that kind of thing. Sharp has not been, people were saying all over the radio today. I heard Sharp was not very sharp, probably 50 times. So I'm not going to, keep going with that. Sharp was not very good. He needs to be a little bit better. He's got better stuff than that. Spencer Strider, I got to tell you, Spencer Strider, these last couple outings he's had, has been hit a little bit harder than I thought he was going to be hit. So, but hey, Clemson made a huge comeback on Sunday. They won the first 2 games, was able to come back from, I think, 3 runs down or something on Sunday. Even got a little bit of a taste of small ball going in there to win that game. So that was kind of fun. It was good stuff to see from Monty Lee. What an advocate I am of the small ball game. So, hey, Clemson got their bats going even against, a bad pitching staff. I think Boston College is the worst pitching staff in the ACC. But, hey, if you can't get it hit against them, who are you going to hit against, right? So Clemson was able to get their bats going, making better contact with the ball. I like to see that. So hopefully that continues on the rest of the year.
So they got up next, Presbyterian. Yep. It looks like, what is that, tomorrow, 6 p.m. And then Winthrop. Mm-hmm. On the next night, 6 p.m., Those are 2 home games, and then they got to go, a long road trip here. Wake Forest, 3 games in a row. Coastal Carolina for 1 game, and then Notre Dame 3 games in a row. So long trip. They won't be back at home until the 24th. Man, that's a long way, man. That's a lot of 7 road games in a row there. But obviously, right now doing well, 12-3 overall, 3-0 in the ACC, and that loss you were talking about, East Tennessee State.
That's right.
In February.
Yep, forgot all about it. That was the first loss, I believe.
Towards the end of February, his first loss of the season.
Yep.
Now this team, I'm hearing great news about, even though they kind of, they got behind in this game, but I'm hearing they had a really good pitching staff out of the bullpen, and I'm just from the outside looking in, it seems like a good thing in a lot of ways that this team was able to come from behind, because I know they've been kind of picked on about not being able to score runs. Well, Boston College, 4-3 win, 12-5 win, and a 7-6 come from behind win. Yeah. I mean, to me, how can you say they can't score runs?
Yeah, they did a pretty good job. But like I said, I try to temper expectations because I want to be as real as I can be. Obviously, I've mentioned that Boston College was not a great pitching staff, but they used a little more small ball, which is what I've been talking about for quite some time. It's kind of interesting to see some of the things that I notice. Are base running mistakes, just little errors that we have to clean up. We get caught stealing a good bit. I don't know what Coach LaCroix is doing at third base. He sends a ton of guys home that have no business being sent home. So I'm not exactly sure what is going on there, what he's looking at there. Had some players thrown out at the plate. Should have had a couple more if it wasn't for some great slides. You showed one last week when you were producing the show by Parker, I believe it was. But there swings that I'm seeing from Hawkins and Parker are much better right now, and they're putting the bat on the ball. They're going to be huge if Clemson's going to be able to continue scoring these runs. I liked Monty Lee and his strategy in the ninth when we got the leadoff runner on. They got a steal, and then he bunted him over to third with only 1 out. I think that's the perfect play. I would have advocated for a squeeze play after that. And what's funny is he had the guy swinging away, so we differ in philosophy there. But the guy rolled over to the top of one, and it acted just like a squeeze bunt, and we scored the winning run. So that was kind of cool to see. It's not exactly the way they drew it up, but it doesn't really matter as long as it works. So small ball, I'm a big fan of. I think this team is going to have to use that. Because they don't have the big bats they've had in the past. I think they're going to simply have to rely on that more. Getting runners over, whether it be by bunt, situational hitting, hitting behind the runner, that kind of thing. This team is showing some progress. I'm hoping they can continue to do so.
I'm looking here statistically. Clemson is ranked 22nd in the nation in strikeouts per 9 innings at 11.3. So they're doing really well in strikeouts per 9 innings, specifically the big dog, Sam Weatherly. 0.79 ERA, 43 total strikeouts. Whew, man. Faced 73 batters and has gotten 7 hits. That is crazy. It's crazy. So, great pitcher there. Davis Sharp, 3.97. I always thought Davis Sharp was the ace. So is Sam Weatherly like now is he kind of like the ace for the team this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Striking a ton of people out. And then as far as batting goes, I mean, from around town, all I'm hearing about is Keir Meredith. He's 3.86 or .386 right now batting average with 1 home run, 5 RBIs, 491 slugging percentage, and a 485 on base percentage. So he's the top guy there. Then below him is Henderson and Hackenberg. Do you feel like Keir Meredith is kind of like the star as far as the batting is concerned?
Yeah, it's really not even close. Keir Meredith's been rock solid all year long. And this guy, it's nice to see what we can do. We know we've had a superstar in Keir for quite some time now. He just can't stay healthy, and he's done that this year. And I'm guessing that he's going to be a big part of this thing going forward. We want him to stay as healthy as possible. Look, Brewer's starting to really come on. I like what I've seen from Brewer lately. Dylan Brewer, he has done really well. He's starting to put real good swings on the ball. Elijah Henderson started off incredibly hot to begin the season. He's been in a little mini slump for about a series or so, and then he kind of got back out of that funk this weekend, so that was good to see. And I think Chad Ferry finally broke through with a couple of big hits this weekend, some big hits. He got a home run, I think, to bust out of his his 0 for streak, so that was kind of nice. But yeah, a lot of people getting, seeing the ball a little better, maybe being a little more patient, swinging at better pitches, that kind of thing. So it's good to see, and we're going to need a lot more of that going forward.
So what's the deal between like baseball and especially with college baseball versus weekend games versus midweek games? Chat's talking about they hope the Tigers can do better in these midweek games. Is there kind of a scheduling strategy between the midweek teams and the weekend teams? Is it like the ACC games or weekend games?
Correct.
And the one-off games are midweek? Is that how it works?
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, you'll have some series with other teams like South Carolina or Liberty, Stony Brook in the beginning of the year. But then once you get in ACC play, those are the people you're going to have on the weekend. So during the midweek, you're pitching somebody that's not one of your three starters. Your weekend starters is what they're called. Obviously, they're still starters. They're starting during the midweek. So they're kind of your fourth and fifth guys that are kind of coming out there. Your your fourth and fifth starting guys. Some guys are bullpen guys, and they're only going to be bullpen guys, and they've got great arms. People, want to plug them in sometimes. Hey, give them a shot, see if they can start a game. Well, they may do that, and they may try to experiment with that, but they're bullpen guys for a reason. Some guys have a pitch count. They can only throw so many pitches before their arm kind of goes on them. A lot of people do that if you're a closer, if you throw the ball hard, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's your midweeks are kind of those kind of teams, and your ACC series are on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
This is College Baseball University from Morgan Thomas tonight. I'm loving it. Thank you so much for this information, Big Al. I like to show off your baseball knowledge here. And Clemson Carson's saying that it's usually the freshman or the scrub that plays in midweek. So you got to try to get through that game with that lower guy. So when it comes to when it comes to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm guessing Weatherly is the Friday guy.
Yeah, Weatherly's a Friday guy. Strider has been Sunday, and Sharp has been Saturday, actually. I thought there was kind of going to be reversed when the season started, but Strider's on a pitch count. He's kind of one of those guys that's on a pitch count right now, coming back from injury, so they're kind of nursing him along as a Sunday guy. Strider has really good stuff. I really think he could be your Saturday guy and would be better suited to be your Saturday guy, but he's got to get that pitch count up and got to be a little more consistent. They bring in Matt Clark in relief, usually, of Spencer Strider on Sunday, and Matt Clark has been great, fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a start maybe down the line. And
the big, distance, I guess you could say, between the two statistics or the two types of skills here in baseball. You got pitching on one end, top 25 in strikeouts per 9 innings, 131st in batting average. So a lot lower there on behind the plate as far as pitching now.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about the batting average as much because I really don't have a lot nice to say. I wanted to talk this show about how everybody's kind of got it together this past weekend, and they did a good job, and they did, and I hope that continues. I hope it not only continues, but it improves. But yeah, we got some guys that we just got to get going. Sam Hall is a big one. Sam Hall was, thought was supposed to be a huge part of the team this year. He's going to kind of be the shortstop and be one of our better hitters, more solid guys. And he has just had a really bad year at the plate. Didn't have a real good year at the shortstop either. He's been kind of replacing James Parker since. He can play everywhere though, so they're going to plug him in. They're going to continue to try to get his back going, and I really want to see that for him.
Got chat talking about how they like the way Spires looks so far. Got Bill talking about coaching with LaCroix and Starbucks Coach Starbucks leaving, and his son stayed on the team or something like that. So there's some chatter in there about the third base coach and chatter in there about the pitching staff as well. Another team though I want to tell you about, Al, did you get to watch any of the softball team this weekend?
I didn't get to watch, and I'm glad that you did. I talked with Bill about that today, actually. I'm hoping you have some expertise in that area. I kept up with it. I just didn't get to watch it.
Well, this team got their first loss in like 35 games. No, I'm just kidding. So they beat Stetson back in February 22nd. And let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They won 10 games in a row. All right, and most of those were home games. So they started with 2 away games from February 22nd against Stetson and Morgan State, and then they got home. They came home against Georgia, Virginia, Charlotte, and Pittsburgh, and they won 10 in a row before losing 8-2 against Pittsburgh on the 8th, which was yesterday. But I'll tell you, I watched both I think I watched Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It might have been just Saturday, Sunday, but Mark Childress was calling some of the games as well, so I wanted to go in there and support him as well. He did a great job there, talking about the Clemson softball team. I think, man, it is just so great to see them. Overall record right now, 18-8, 5-1 in the ACC. I mean, this team is not a ceremonial inaugural season team. They're doing really well. They got some really good batters. The issue that they had Saturday is they already had the lead. They were going into the fourth inning up 2-0. And Logan Kamall, I love her. She's like my favorite player on the team. Really, she's my second favorite because I like Valerie Cagle. She's my number one. But Logan Kamall is kind of there's really two main pitchers between Cagle and Kamall. And you can't really pitch Cagle every single game. I mean, they did pitch her like 6 games in a row in that winning streak. So they did use her a lot. And the thing about Valerie Cagle is, man, she's got some heat. So she plays center field, but then she can go in and get on the mound and throw some just straight up heat to batters. And so they can't really get a lot off of them, or they can't really go very far, and they usually end up being ground balls a lot. And so Valerie Cagle does really well. The thing about Logan Kamall, she is more of a Vanessa type guy or type pitcher. She's kind of like the Greg Maddux, I like to say. She's not throwing heat like John Smoltz. She's more of your kind of painting the corner, painting the inside. She kind of they're different pitchers. She kind of goes up and in on you, Al, and then Cagle kind of goes. She's kind of like a drop ball. She kind of just goes down in the dirt a little, like a sinker type thing.
Yep.
But Kamall's thing is she can get, at least for the past couple of times she's been out as pitching, now don't get me wrong. I mean, she's got a 7-2 win and loss record, so she's still an amazing pitcher. But the last 2 times I've seen her pitch, she's had a hard time getting that third strike. She can get the first and second strike, but man, especially Saturday or Sunday, it was like foul ball after foul ball after foul ball after foul ball. And you know how it is as a pitcher, man. You get up there, 15 foul balls later, you're like, hey, I'm over it. Just go ahead and get on base. I'm done. Well, the problem with that is that she ended up either giving up a base hit or walking them. Mm-hmm. And then the bases were loaded. She gave up a grand slam. Got the next batter out. Another batter got on base. Gave up another home run. So back-to-back not back-to-back home runs, but 2 home runs in the same inning. Go from being up 2-0 and kind of cruising, having a nice warm Sunday afternoon, to then being down 6-2, and then eventually losing 8-2 by the end of it all. And they actually did at the end of the game bring Cagle in, but by that time, it was a little bit too much, too late there at the end. I do like, earlier on in the season, I didn't mention this player. I want to mention her now. Hannah Godwin. She's the shortstop. 373 batting average right now, a 560 slugging percentage, and a 440 on base percentage. So she's doing really good right now. She got 3 home runs and 28 hits for the team. Looks like she's second or third on the team in hits behind Valerie Cagle, who has 25. And then Marissa Gumbarda, obviously, she is one of the top 5 home run hitters in the nation right now. She got 11 home runs for the Tigers. Was kind of quiet on Sunday. I look to see the Tigers rebound from this. I think that they have a team that can go and win a majority of the games in the ACC. I know a lot of people are already telling me that they feel like they can be dominant in their ACC games, and that they're really looking forward to a big showdown towards the end of the season, April 17th, 18th, and 19th against Florida State. And that's kind of the big game that a lot of people are saying, well, we'll see what they can do. Same thing with Georgia. Well, they're winning these games, but we'll see what they can do till they play Georgia. And same thing with this. Well, they beat Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh's, a losing team. They're not doing very well. They only have one average pitcher. We'll see what they can do against Florida State. So I'm just saying that I think that the Tigers have the bats needed. They got to get Kamall back into that consistent pitching that she was doing, and I think they'll be fine. But it really is exciting to see. Another thing I heard from Mark Childress, who Clemson Carson in the chat, saying that he's going to be calling the baseball game tomorrow. Mark Childress, man, he is on it. He had texted me about that. But another thing that I'm hearing is that this softball team, Al, is in the top 5 in the nation in attendance right now. You're talking first year. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't doubt it a bit. Clemson fans have been clamoring for this for a long time. They finally got it, and they're out there supporting it as they should be. This team is like really. I mean, they're making a believer out of me. I try to temper expectations at the beginning of the year, which is kind of one of my shticks. That's what I like to do. I wanted to make sure that we weren't putting too much pressure on the girls and overhyping the girls, but man, they have done such a good job, and it's so good to see them winning, especially in the inaugural season. I mean, that's a huge deal. I don't think a lot of people expected them to compete quite the way they are. And I mean, really, if 5-1 in the ACC, that's incredible. I don't care who you're playing. It doesn't really matter to me, what team they're playing. And the fact that they beat Georgia, that was a big deal. So I'm hoping they can continue this win streak and kind of keep going and really prove the doubters wrong.
Yeah, and I didn't mention another girl there, MK Boname. She is doing great there at first base. They have a lot of young freshman players on the team, freshmen and redshirt freshmen, but they're also anchored by players who have been around, like MK, who is a transfer from Notre Dame, and like Gumbarda, who's a transfer from Furman. And I believe there's a couple of other transfers in there. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but they've got a great balance of players who are transferred from other teams who just really want to play on a prestigious team like Clemson. Even though it's their first year, the university itself just holds a lot of weight, especially being in the South. Like we've said many times, can't believe it's taken this long for the university to get a softball team, because there's going to be a lot of girls out there, a lot of young women out there that are going to be wanting to play for the Tigers and going to be like really good players out there. We already got some, and it's exciting to see. And I love that hill out there. I think it's only like $2 to get into the left field hill, and you can catch any of those home runs. If you get a home run, Al, and you give the ball back, you get a free T-shirt.
Man, I wish we had Bill on there on the show today. I wish he would call in and tell us this, because he was telling me at lunch today, he was talking about back in the day when he used to get foul balls and you turned them in, or home runs or foul balls or whatever, you turned them in. They gave you a broken bat at the baseball games. This is way back in the day. They gave him a broken bat. He said he had a pile of broken bats, and eventually they ended up being used for firewood because they ran out of firewood at the house. But it was a great story. He had a couple of those.
Wish he would have kept those broken bats around, Bill, because by now with Pinterest around, you could have made those into like some sort of nice artwork for your man cave there by now. But Bill, yeah, hey Bill, if you're watching, we have a call-in number, 864-772-MORG. It's easy to remember, 6674. Call in and let us know what you think. You watch every night. Al, you too. I'm seeing you, Al. If you're out there, if you're listening, if you're still watching with us, if you're still hanging in, give us a call sometime. We want to talk to you and get some of our longtime callers. Same thing with you, Clemson Carson. I'm seeing you out there a lot of times, and Randy as well. I know Randy's already called in, so I'm not going to jump on Randy for not calling in because he has before. But again, hey, Al, that wraps up the show. Do you got anything? I mean, we talked about a little bit of basketball. We talked a lot of spring practice. We talked a lot of junior day recruiting. Mm-hmm. We talked a lot of pro day. We talked a lot of baseball. We talked a lot of softball. We talked a little bit of basketball, too. Is there anything else before we let these fine Clemson Tiger fans go?
No, man, I think we hit on pretty much all of it today. It was good, well-rounded show. You even let me talk a little bit more baseball than I was thinking you were going to let me, so I really appreciate that. What a guy you are. It's good stuff. But we appreciate everybody's support. Again, make sure you're liking the show. Make sure you're sharing the show with your friends so we can get more and more people in here and more content, more comments, more engagement.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And hey, that's the end. Thank you for watching and listening. Please check us out, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, The Roar, anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's it for this week. I'm Morgan Thomas.
And I'm Alan Adams.
And we'll see you, Tiger fans, at the top of the hill.